Skippity toilet will be mine, yeah. Ohio town, yeah. Diamonds to mine.
Welcome to Federalist 70, accompanied by a soothing mix of visual stimuli and entertainment. In Fed 70, Hamilton addresses the need for a strong, energetic executive branch. He argues that it would just be one person in this position to make full use of the efficiency of the branch. What about fears of tyranny or overreach in the executive branch? Fear not, for Hamilton has addressed this as well. There's a thing called checks and balances, which would limit and check the executive branch, mitigating this issue. And let's say Mr. or Mrs. President gets a little out of hand. That's what Congress is for. They can vote to impeach them or override their vetoes, among other things. Not to mention the president is directly elected by the people, well, essentially, so they would be accountable to the people. Therefore, a lone president would not pose a threat because the structure of the government has checks in place for these kinds of things. Another pro of a single executive, as argued by Hamilton, is that a single executive would streamline decisions and provide unity of purpose, meaning he would not have to vote amongst 534 other people to make a decision. This would be super helpful in foreign affairs or any difficult matter where there's no time to lollygag. Having multiple presidents could cause disunity or even conflicting ideas, which is no good for a nation.
To continue on our last point, or rather Hamilton's, a lone president is much better. The single leader will be able to make much quicker and streamlined decisions, and a clear direction of responsibility. If my boy messes up, he just can't blame it on president number 2. It falls on him. But if there was a president number 2, they could juggle the responsibility, or deflect, or lie, or any manner of things. Not to say that they don't already do that, but I digress, which could certainly make things much harder. Plus, having multiple would slow everything down, as if it isn't already slow, which is the purpose, but let's reel it in here. Hamilton also points out that in a republic, the people need to know who to blame, or who to thank. Multiple people taking credit for one thing is confusing, and while it isn't impossible, it would muddle it. In the words of our little lion, in the first place, it is evident that the executive power is never so effectively administered as when it is in the hands of a single person, and that a division of the executive power is as likely to be productive of disputes and delays in the administration of the government as to be favorable as to the public liberty. Hope you're enjoying the incredibly engrossing visual stimuli, because there's more where that came from.
The last and possibly most important part Hamilton makes is about energy. No, not coffee. Hamilton means decisiveness, efficiency, and the ability to act quickly and effectively in response to crises, which is important, I'd have to say. A strong executive is needed to enforce laws, to lead, to ensure stability, especially when things are falling apart, like in times of war. Remember, we don't want any of the old articles in the Federation around here. If the executive was fragmented, which is the alternative, this wouldn't exactly turn out too well. This executive needs to have sufficient power and reach to do these things too. We don't want a limbless president. Hamilton explains that a president must be vigorous to protect the things that they were elected to protect, but we must always be careful. Too much power leads to threats upon liberty, but fear not. That's what Congress is for. This is great and all, but what about some practicality? Well, Hamilton suggests a set duration for the president, so there's no fear of sudden removal, impeachment excluded, of course. He suggests adequate powers like vetoes, but with limits. He also suggests unity, as previously discussed in this lovely video. Thank you for all listening. Now, it's time for your quiz. Get hyped.
Skippity toilet will be mine. Ohio cat race, riftless on my mind, yeah. Skippity toilet will be mine, yeah. When you're not around me, the sickness on my mind.